The mirror principle. So have you ever wondered why it can feel so frustrating, so challenging, so emotionally draining to be able to lose weight when you know exactly what you should be doing in terms of diet, exercise, planning your meals out, all the things that you know you need to do, it doesn't seem to happen for you? Well, this principle is going to go a long way to explaining why you found it so much of a challenge, but more importantly, I'm going to explain how you can use the mirror principle to your advantage so you can start to get the results that you want to get now. You may be wondering, how do I know this works and who am I? Well, my name is Eric Simpson and I've been in the weight loss space now for over 2 decades. And I have used this particular principle within my coaching to help clients like Sue, who at the age of 52 was able to go on and lose 71 pounds, take part in a Kilimanjaro challenge, do multiple Race for Lives and appear on the radio twice. The first year for losing the weight and the second year for keeping the weight off. When they invited her back, they thought she'd have gained the weight. Another client of mine, Gaynor, who ran a busy nursery, employing over 80 staff, whilst at the same time looking after ill parents and helping a daughter and guiding her on her wedding and helping to organise a wedding, was able to lose 85 pounds. And Marie, when she came to me, I didn't realise at the time, but was ringing me from a hospital car park contemplating cosmetic surgery, and she ended up losing 57 pounds. So these 3 ladies benefited from this mirror principle. So what I'm going to do is explain a very simple concept so you get your head around how this works. I'm then going to explain to you how people misuse the mirror principle. I'm then going to show you and explain to you how to use the mirror principle to make weight loss so much easier for you. So make some notes as we go along. So on screen what we've got here is you sat down watching an episode or a film on Netflix. You're watching the Titanic, you've got your popcorn, you've never ever seen the film before, but you know the Titanic sinks, but you've never actually watched the film. Well, at the end of the film, what you're hoping is the lead actor and actress in this particular film, the latest version of it, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, you're hoping they're going to live happily ever after, have kids, maybe have grandkids and live to a ripe old age of 100 plus. But that doesn't happen. What actually happens is the ship hits the iceberg, as you well know, it sinks. Leonardo DiCaprio ends up freezing and drowning in the water. Now, you see this and you're not happy with that ending. You're frustrated, you're angry, you want a different ending. So you start shouting and screaming. You go from a smiley face enjoying the film to an unhappy face. You're now not enjoying the film and you're angry. So you shout at the screen, you think, you know what I'll do? I'll stop the film, I'll rewind it and I'll hope for a different ending. As crazy as that sounds, that's what you're trying to do. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter how many times you stop that film and rewind it, that ship is going to hit that iceberg and Leonardo DiCaprio is going to end up freezing in the water and dying. That's the way it's going to be. The only way that you can change the ending of this particular film is by rewriting the script back here, educating and making sure DiCaprio, Kate Winslet and all the other actors in the film understand the script, and then you get a different ending. So what has that got to do with weight loss? Well, weight loss can be approached in the same sort of way. What people are generally tending to do, and you're probably in this boat right now, quite an apt thing for me to say, and that is you are probably looking at your external world and you are trying to make changes externally rather than trying to make changes internally as well as externally. But the truth of the matter is you can't make external changes until you make those internal changes. So let me explain how that works in the most simplistic way that I can. We're going to break it down to 2 columns. On this side we've got emotion. On this side we've got logic. Now what most people try to do when it comes to weight loss is just use logic. They say, okay, I want to lose some weight. I'm going to adjust my diet. I'm going to exercise. And I'm going to do a little bit of self-care in order to lose the weight. Now let's say you want to lose 50 pounds and you think that's the best approach. My next question to you then is, okay, so you want to lose 50 pounds. What are your beliefs about being able to lose 50 pounds by following a healthy diet, exercise and self-care on a scale of 1 to 10? How much do you believe that? So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's quite possible, if you've never done it before and you've tried and you've failed in the past and you've always struggled with your weight, then that level of belief could be anywhere between 1 to 3 out of 10. It's a low level of belief. Not only that, if I say to you, okay, what's your attitude towards diet, exercise and self-care? Well, guess what? Your attitude is also going to be a 1 to 3 out of 10. And if I kept asking you the questions, what's your thinking around it? Then your thinking is going to be again 1 to 3 out of 10. And if I said, okay, what's your emotional state like out of 10 in terms of how motivated, how excited you feel about losing that 50 pounds? Again, you're looking at anywhere between 1 and 3, and probably a sense of helplessness as well. So how do we flip this around and use that mirror principle? Because at the moment what we're dealing with here is belief is low, attitude is low, your thought process is low, you've got negative thoughts going on there, you've got poor emotions going on, probably feeling a little bit helpless. So you are writing a script. This has become your script. And guess what? That script is going to project itself into your reality. So this is you in reality, carrying extra weight. In your head, you're also creating this image of you. So that's the script you've created. Low belief, low attitude, negative thoughts, low emotional sort of vibrancy. So the script is an overweight person. So you project, guess what? An overweight person. So when it comes to diet, exercise and self-care, you are going to have an actor. Your version of Leonardo DiCaprio or Kate Winslet is going to be an actor who doesn't eat healthily, doesn't exercise regularly and doesn't do self-care. So we need to change the script in here to become more of a slim person, so we can project that into your reality, so eventually you become that slim person, because you are now going to be acting like a slim person. But how do we do that is the question I hear you asking. That's what I'm going to share with you now. So we're going to leave the beliefs, the attitudes and the emotions on there, and we're simply going to flip the script in the most effective way that we possibly can. How are we going to do that? Quite simply, I'm going to ask you similar questions again, but this time in a slightly different way. Self-care, we'll leave that on there. Actually, I don't know, I'm scribbling it off. I'll write it back on. Self-care. Self-care. Okay, this time, same question. You want to lose 50 pounds. That's your goal, 50 pounds. And I say to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you believe you can lose 50 pounds? And the truth of the matter is, if you've never lost 50 pounds before, you're probably going to answer, if you're honest, something like, well, maybe 3 to 4 out of 10, possibly. I think I can lose 50 pounds. That's not enough. It needs to be a lot higher. It needs to be at level 10. So what we do is we say, okay, if you don't think you can lose, we still keep this as a long-term goal, but we say, okay, if 50 pounds isn't it, what about 40 pounds? And you're like, no, don't think I can do that either. I'm still at 3 or 4. Okay, what about 20 pounds? And we keep coming down until this changes from that low digit to a 10. Now it may need to go lower than that, possibly. It could be a little bit higher than that. But unless you have the belief of a 10, your chances of being successful with weight loss are going to be pretty much 0. This is your foundational piece. You need to believe that you can lose weight. Now, as I said, rather than going for the 50 pounds straight away, we may have to break that down to a lower number so that you believe you can do it. Because once you can hit, let's say 20 pounds, and you've got that information registered, then it's going to be a lot easier to lose the remaining 30 pounds because you've got evidence to support it. So we get your level of belief up to a 10. What's your attitude going to be like? Well, the good news here is we don't need to have an attitude of 10 out of 10. A 6 to a 7 out of 10 is enough. In terms of your thinking, positive thoughts, a 6 to a 10 is good enough. In terms of your emotional state, again, a 6 to a 7 is good enough. You may be wondering, well, hang on, Eric, shouldn't these be at a 10 as well? Well, here's the reality. If you are trying to operate at a level 10 in terms of your attitude, that is, you're always fired up, if you're trying to always be thinking positively, if you're always trying to be emotionally upbeat, this becomes very, very draining. You're going to run out of energy. The people that I have worked with, I mentioned earlier, Sue losing 71 pounds, Marie 57 pounds, Gaynor 85 pounds. They typically operated at this sort of a level when it came to attitude, the way they thought and their emotions. And the reason they operate at this level, and the reason why it's important to operate at this level, is because it's sustainable. When you're trying to lose 50 pounds, if you start at this emotionally like a bull in a china shop trying to give it everything, you will burn out. Whereas operating at this sort of level, that's sustainable. But to begin with, you have to be up here. Now, once we've created this new script, so we've rewritten the script to one that we can believe, and this script is based around a slimmer version of you. Once we've got the script here, we can start to project the script and the reality out here. So this person here now begins to behave in accordance with this script. So the diet, whichever diet you choose to do, assuming it's a healthy, balanced diet, you're going to find it a lot easier to follow. Why? Because this person here has got a script to follow, this person is the actor, and this person carries it out. It's the same with exercise. You've got somebody here that understands they've got to do some exercise, the script's been written, so that becomes a lot easier. They'll also understand some self-care is necessary as well. So what you're doing basically is you are approaching this from an emotional standpoint first of all, to make sure you've got that foundation in place. Once you have that in place and you've got your script in place, the outcome becomes so much easier. And I've seen this work time and time again. So if you genuinely want to be able to lose the weight and lose it effectively, your goal is simply to work on the inner aspects of your psychology in a very simplest way, as I've just described. And really, you want to be thinking about what we said right at the start of this. I won't draw the whole thing again, but it's basically thinking about your version of the Titanic. Rather than Leonardo DiCaprio dying at the end, you're going to change the script, and by changing the script, you're going to change the outcome. That's basically how the mirror principle works. Change what's happening in here first in order to see something out there. Now, something you need to also understand is this. There is a bit of a time lag, and that's why consistency is important. You wouldn't expect Leonardo DiCaprio to read his script one time and then get in front of the camera and play the perfect part. It doesn't work that way. He has to practice, he has to rehearse, he has to keep studying his lines, he has to sort of make boo-boos, and then they stop, take again. And there are multiple takes and cuts and a variety of things that go towards making a film. Mistakes are made. It's going to be the same with you. This is the principle. You need to apply it, and when you apply it, give yourself the grace to understand you're not going to be the perfect actor to begin with. You are going to make mistakes. There is going to be a time delay. Even when you're consistent, there will be a time delay from the image in your head to experiencing the reality in real life. Because when you think about it, you can diet really well, you can exercise well, you can do some self-care, you can do all of that for a week, and at the end of that week, you step on the scales and you've gone down maybe a couple of pounds. You look at yourself in the mirror and nothing appears to have changed, because there has to be a period of time that you do this for in order for it to catch up and for you to actually start to experience and see this new reality. But the foundational piece is understanding the mirror principle, applying it and sticking with it. Again, click the link below if you want to find out more about how I work with people. And until next time, take care.